fishmonger here at dansfish.com. We do this live stream every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's for the Mountain Challenge people. If you know where the mountains are, we're at 7 p.m. every other Wednesday here at the Dansfish YouTube channel. Thanks for coming by, spending a little bit of your Wednesday with us. Today, we're going to start with our shipping report, and then we're going to talk about some cool fish that I just got in. I'm going to break a rule here. I usually don't tell you about cool fish until they're ready to sell, but I'm very excited about this group, so I can't contain myself. So I'm going to tell you about that, even though they just came in yesterday and they're not ready yet. We have a 2-week quarantine process at least, so they need to go through a couple weeks of quarantine. Some of them, from past experience, will probably take like 4 to 6 weeks of quarantine, but yeah, I'll tell you all about that. It's pretty exciting. And before we do that, we'll talk about our giveaway. So let's start with the shipping report. We are at 98, let me look at it here, 98.82% shipping success. So 98.82% of the fish that we have sent to our customers over the last 12 months have arrived alive and in good shape as reported by our customers. So any customers that got fish from us, thank you so much for buying from us. If you're part of that small 1.28% that had a problem, I'm really sorry. Please reach out. hello@dansfish.com. HELLO@dansfish.com. If you have a problem with an order, we will take care of you. We're happy to hear from you. So that is the shipping report. Let's talk about the giveaway. The giveaway today is super simple. It's free shipping. So if you order fish from us, you will get free shipping. You can order 1 fish or you can order 500 fish and the shipping will be free. So that is what the giveaway for today is for. If you would like to be entered to win free shipping, then put hashtag flying fish in the chat. Hashtag FLYINGFISH, flying fish in the chat, and you'll automatically be entered to win some free shipping from dansfish.com. Capitalization on the hashtag doesn't matter, but don't put any spaces in there. Hashtag flying fish, because we send our fish via next day air cargo via UPS. So they're flying, they're gonna fly to you. So flying fish seemed appropriate. Just curious here. All right, so I was curious how many people are here. There's 150 folks here, so we're getting that hashtag in nice and early before we get inundated. So that's good. I'll give you a good chance to get some. Okay, I see folks are entering for the giveaway, and while they're doing that, I'm going to tell you about some cool stuff. Okay, usually I don't talk about any fish until they've been through quarantine and they're healthy and they're ready to ship. And the reason I don't do that is because I don't want people to get all excited and then have there be a problem. Let's say they don't do well in quarantine, and so you're all excited for them and then I can't sell them to you because they didn't do well. Or they're going to take 4 months to get healthy and you're sitting there for 4 months going, when are they going to be available? And I'm like, I don't know. It's up to the fish, right? As soon as they're healthy, we'll send them to you. So I usually, don't talk about things before they're ready for sale. But I got an import in that I've been working on for a long time, and so I'm going to share it with you. It's from the Congo. For those that don't know, it's very difficult to get fish from the Congo. It's that region has all kinds of problems, and it's not a very safe place to be. There's all kinds of issues. There's all kinds of political struggle. There's all kinds of violence. There's all that going on. So it's very difficult to get fish from there. But there's some folks in the Congo that they like fish and they want to be part of this. And what they do for a living is they collect and export fish. They take advantage of that natural resource. So because it's so difficult to get fish out from the Congo, I haven't done it in quite a while. And I guess I should say this, there's not a lot of infrastructure there. And so it's been very difficult to find a supplier that I can get healthy fish from. And so I just didn't feel right bringing in fish, knowing that they weren't going to be treated well on the supply chain and that they'd have problems. It just seemed inhumane. So there's a supplier I've been working with from the Congo. They sent me a shipment early on, and they didn't do a good job. Like the fish were not taken care of properly. They didn't have good body weight. They were very emaciated. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to deal with this guy anymore. He reached out and was like, how'd the order go? And I was like, well, they were all emaciated. I can't buy from you, basically, is what I told him, because my mission is to source humanely cared for fish. And these were not, cared for humanely. So buying from you is against my mission. That's literally what I told him. And he said, I can do better. I can do better. I was like, okay, well, prove it. And so he showed me this list of all the things he was going to do to make it better and stuff. And I didn't buy from him for like a year or so, but he kept telling me, I've got it, I'm figuring it out. And so I ordered from him again. Bad experience. And so I decided I'm not going to order from this guy again. And then he reached out a few months ago and was like, okay, I've got it figured out now. I like what you're doing. I really want to be part of it. Get some fish from you. And I was like, no, like, there's no way I'm going to buy fish from you. And he said, what if we do this? I'll send you the fish, and if they're not healthy, you don't have to pay for them. That's how confident I am. Usually when you import fish, you have to wire the money in advance. And so if there's a problem, you're just stuck with it financially. And so for him to be willing to say, you don't have to pay me up front, he covered all the air cargo fees, he covered all the fees to get them to me. He said, you don't have to pay if they don't arrive to your standards. And I was like, okay, if you want to take that risk, then it sounds like you must really be confident, because otherwise, because I'm not going to pay for them if they're not up to my standards. And we've talked about what those standards are in depth. But if you're willing to do that, that makes me think that maybe you have actually changed something, because you're going to lose a ton of money if you haven't, because I'm not going to pay if they arrive in bad shape. He's like, no, I got it figured out. That's how confident I am. So we did it, and I'm happy to say he fixed the problems. Like, this is the first order I've gotten from the Congo in years where I didn't feel bad that I'd gotten the fish. They're fat. They look good. They've been treated right. He actually corrected things. And that's why I'm so excited. There's a couple places you can get fish from the Congo. It's not like you can't get them. It's difficult, but you can get them. But we operate according to a certain mission, a certain set of standards, and so we just decided, no, I guess we can't, until we can find a new supplier and maybe try someone else. We've been through a lot of suppliers from West Africa. It's been very hard to find someone that does a good job, but he did great. He did not overpack the bags. The shipping water was nice and clean, very few fish per bag, so they were not crowded. They didn't have ammonia issues. They were fat. They were cared for well. And so I'm super excited. What I hope this means is that I can have a reliable source from that region of the world who actually ships fish according to our standards, who treats the fish humanely, cares for them properly, and all that long term. Like, I hope this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship. So I'm excited to have the fish, but I'm even more excited that this guy, it took him a couple tries, but he actually figured it out, and he actually did what he said he was going to do. So yeah, so super exciting for me. That's 3-4 years going back and forth with this guy to finally get to this point. So let me show you the fish we got in. Okay, we got some Congo spotted puffers in. I ordered these before we acquired our hobbyist bred and raised ones. We do have a group of hobbyist bred and raised Congo spotted puffers in quarantine. They're doing excellent. If all continues to go well with them, then they will be available for sale next week. But I'd already ordered a whole bunch of these from that supplier. So we also have a group of wild ones that are more adult sized, the ones that will be available hopefully next week from the hobbyist. They're small, but these are adult size we just got in. So we've got some Congo spotted puffers. Now, I do expect the Congo spotted puffers to take 4 to 6 weeks to get through quarantine and everything. Puffers just take longer sometimes. So maybe they'll surprise me and be ready in 2 weeks, but I bet it'll be longer before they're ready. But they came in good size and stuff. So he did a good job with them. The next thing we got from him is, I mean, there's still some work we need to do with this supplier. He was supposed to send me 2 species of Aphiosimians, Poli and Christii. What I got instead was 1 species of Epiplates, and it looks like Fasciolatus. I don't know if Fasciolatus comes from the collection point where he got them, so I have to find out what his collection point is and narrow it down and figure out exactly what I got. But, and again, we've only had them for a day, so they haven't colored up enough for me to really identify them, but they have this striping on them. They remind me a lot of Fasciolatus. But it's an Epiplates. Phenacogrammus, this is one that's collected at Mokobile. We've had them in the past, even fairly small. These are fairly small, but you can see the golds coming in and the reds coming in. This is, I think this is how do you say that? Arcantiacus, did I say that right? Type? We don't know the species exactly, but it's a pretty one. Then we got some Fantastiques, an absolutely stunning Phenacogrammus species. Fantastique is just an amazing, amazing fish. Now they're small, so the most I've seen them colored up here is about like this, maybe a little more color. But as they grow and mature, they turn into a fantastic, hence the name fish. We got some Aurantiacus. These are the ones from Lafini. These, in my opinion, are one of the prettiest of them. The golds on them are super, super nice. So the Lafini location of Aurantiacus. We were able to get some more Microtenopoma ransorgii. This is, of all the Tenopoma types, this is probably the most colorful. It doesn't get too big. It's an amazing little fish. So got some of those. Some Alestopetersius. We've had these before. These are the red leucine species. We don't know the actual species, but they call them red. They have I've never seen them bright red. To me, it looks more like a orange-ish or a yellowish color, but I've never seen them maybe fully developed, fully colored in. And that seems pretty accurate there. But anyway, they don't know the species name, so Leuciniae or whatever is the location where it's collected. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. And then we got some more blood cap moon tetras, a really neat, quite hardy fish in my experience. That gets this, it's just really unique. It's got this blood cap on it, right? This red cap on it, little red in the fins. For contrast, it's got that dark spot on the tail, and it's also got a dark spot up towards the eye, like a false eye spot. So that's what we got. We didn't get a ton of different species because I wasn't super confident. Based on my past experience with this supplier, I wanted to go light, right? I just wanted to do kind of the minimum to get an import in. And yeah, but they look awesome. So hopefully in a couple weeks, I can actually have some of these available for sale. Now we'll see, I might regret it doing this whole thing. Like there might be all kinds of problems. Might regret telling you this and be like, okay, that's why I don't do that. I don't know. But they've been through the lab. We know what we're dealing with as far as parasites and such go, and they're being medicated, and today they ate pretty darn good, and things look like they're going well. So, wait, I was sharing that, right? Yeah, I think so. Hang on. Okay, good. Otherwise people would have been yelling, we can't see what you're talking about. Okay, good. Whew, hopefully I did that right. Every now and then I do something like that and I forget to share the screen with you guys. And it's like, oh, geez, I'm horrible at doing this, right? But I think I did that right. Okay, so that's why I'm excited. Because I think I found, I mean, who knows? It'll take a few more orders before I know if this person's truly reliable. But, I mean, they put their money where their mouth was. They said, don't pay for them if they aren't up to par. And I was like, all right, we'll try that. And now I'm excited I get to pay him because he sent me good fish. So he'll be happy, I'll be happy, and hopefully you guys will be happy. So, yeah. Okay. Now is the point in the live stream where I thank my moderators for being here and moderating, keeping the chat running smoothly, because we're about to get to your guys' questions and comments. The first one I see here is N4279. Have you ever had experience or heard of spotted Raphael catfish eating fish, snails, or shrimp? Well, Raphael catfish have a pretty small mouth for their size. There's the striped and the spotted kind. Okay, let's just show people what we're talking about here. Talking about these guys. Little spotted guys. But they have a pretty small mouth for their size. They're like big tanks. But any fish will eat another fish if it can fit it in its mouth. I can think of that's food, right? So yeah, if it had something that was small enough that it could swallow it, then I'm not surprised it did that. But it's not going to go after anything that's big, that it's going to have a hard time fitting in its mouth. They're fairly peaceful even for their size. But if it's small enough that it can eat it, that's not aggression, that's just normal feeding behavior. Max Vera Frank. I tried emailing but didn't get a response. I need to rehome my fish. When did you email, Max? Because we get back to people. I need to rehome my fish and want them to go to a dedicated keepers. If anyone in New York metro area is interested, could you connect to me? Yeah, that's actually a great way to do that. Max, please resend the email. And if you are in the New York metro area and you want to fish, reach out. See if we can hook that up. Loving the blue ivory guppy, says Matt. Oh, I know, aren't those pretty? Oh, I gotta show these. These are so nice. Blue ivory guppy. Check these out. Dude, I love it when I do a search and I'm the first thing to pop up. That's awesome. But here they are. A beautiful, neat, just gorgeous finnage. Really pretty, but not like overbearing on the color. Really nice, beautiful, but kind of subtle colors. Yeah, I'm glad you like them. I think that's one of the coolest fish out there. Yep. All right. Glad to hear you're enjoying them. Gerlach James, I truly love your whole approach. It's good to have a friendly fishmonger so dedicated. Well, it's the only way I want to do business. So the whole reason we started this company was try to actually do something where fish were treated humanely, where we could demonstrate to the industry, hey, there's a standard we could keep. Let's keep it. Let's do it. We can come to work every day and feel good about what we're doing, as opposed to feeling a little guilty every day about how we're operating. I mean, I've worked at other places where I didn't stay long because they were saying one thing publicly and then doing another thing completely different privately. One place I worked at, it was mainly into cichlids, a big cichlid distributor. And their message to the public is, hey, check out this farm we have where we raise all these cichlids that we sell. We have like this naturally, like these thermal hot springs, like this warm lake, and we get water from there, and we breed all these fish and we raise them. And so I was really excited about that. So that's why I went to work for them. And then come to find out, they're not breeding and raising anything. They're importing everything, raising it up from like 70, 3/4 of an inch or an inch on up to an inch and a half to 2 inches and then just reselling it. But they're not actually raising anything. They don't have control of the genetics or anything. So, man, it just felt horrible working there because I was like, everything about this place is a lie. So I didn't last very long. Yeah, work somewhere you can be proud of no matter what you're doing. Work somewhere where you can get up in the morning and be like, I get to go to this, I get to make a difference, I get to do something that's meaningful, and I don't have to feel guilty about it. I don't feel like I'm hiding from my customers or anything like that. What a horrible way to live. Okay, enough of that. You guys have probably heard ad nauseum my my thoughts on business and ethics and such. Zay's Aquatics, any tips on getting Sultan plecos to spawn? Zay, I've never spawned the Sultan pleco, so I'm not a good source of advice, but has someone in the chat spawned and raised Sultan plecos? If you have, would you say something in the chat and we can get a conversation going, and hopefully we can help Zay out a bit. Hey, we got a super chat. A little bit of Pippi Longstocking doing jumping jacks with pom-poms. Thanks, Kaler's Reptiles and Aquatics, for putting a little peppy in our steppy. Little Pippi in our step. Rose Munson, any new plecos? Not in the Congo order, no. I am working on getting some, though. I'm working on getting some mini snowballs. I know folks have been waiting for a long time for those. Some ocelots, some super whites, some 236s, some 280s, I think, the little dwarf spiny plecos. Some green phantoms that are aquarium bred and raised. Yeah. They're calling them high fin green phantoms. So, we'll see what they look like. What else are we working on? And a few others. Yeah. So hopefully in a couple months or so, we'll have some of that stuff ready to go. Oh, Ali Sean, any teleogramma on the Congo list? Yes, but they never come when I order them. Look at these. These are just really neat riverine fish. They're like a buffalo lowhead cichlid in that they like the current, but like they just have the neatest coloration. Just such an interesting. It's like a pike cichlid and a buffalo cichlid had a baby. So yeah, sometimes they're on the list, but they've never showed up when I've ordered them. So we'll keep trying. But in this business, I often say it's kind of like, when your mom feeds you dinner. You get what you get and you don't complain. It's like you can want something, but what's served might be a little bit different. That's kind of how it is in the fish business. Not Dennis, Denise gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Denise. I really, really appreciate that. Denise, I hope we run into each other one of these days out at like a fish convention or fish club meeting or something like that. I'd love to shake your hand and just thank you for all the support. Green Shield, thank you so much for the Royal Acara I got from y'all. He is big and beautiful. I love him so much. Oh, aren't they awesome? Yeah, Royal Acara. I think they're starting, let's show people what we're talking about. This Dimidiata, or Diadema is the species name. They are, so when you see them in a pet shop, they're gonna look like not much. Maybe like that. Just not like much. Little kind of brown fish with some dark markings on them. But when they get happy, they get all these brilliant blues and oranges and turn into just a really, really nice. Here's a female starting spawning coloration. Here's a male that's firing up. And they don't get too big. So they're a dwarf cichlid, not a dwarf. They're bigger than like some epistograms and stuff, but they're a manageable size cichlid. 5 inches, maybe 6. Has anyone ever seen one more than 5 inches? And they're not super aggressive. Like for a cichlid, they're downright mild. So Great fish. I'm glad yours is doing well. And they become personable little pets too. They'll come like beg for food and get all excited when you walk by. Yeah. Green Shield, I'm glad to hear he's doing well and that you're enjoying him. Ashton, at Dance Fish is the best way to lower pH in a tank to use RO water. So it's very difficult to lower the pH if you have hard alkaline water. That's water that usually has a lot of buffer in it. So anytime you add acid to try to lower the pH, it'll temporarily lower, but then the acid will react with all the calcium carbonate or whatever buffers you have. And once it's once those buffers have neutralized the acid, then it goes right back up in pH again, right? So you get this bouncing thing where the pH gets lowered and then bounces back up, and then gets lowered, then bounces back up. That's why those pH up and down products are kind of difficult. So yes, RO can help with that, because RO is going to take out a lot of that hardness, a lot of those buffering chemicals, substances. And so then when the water is nice and soft, then when you add something to lower the pH, whether it's acid or just peat moss or driftwood or whatever you're using, then it can lower and it doesn't bounce up because the buffer is gone. So that is a good way to do it. Now, usually if you lower the hardness, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish by low pH, but often if you lower the hardness, that's all you need to do. If you're trying to spawn a fish or whatever, lower the hardness, and you can use RO to do that. Put a little bit of tap water in it, maybe to get a little bit of minerals in there. It's just a little safer. But anyway, make it nice and soft, and your fish might spawn successfully without having to mess with the pH. From what I've experienced, soft water helps a lot with soft water species that are trying to spawn, but I haven't found it necessary to also lower the pH. And I've spawned some stuff that is supposed to need really, really acidic water. So yeah. Mitchell Broom. Mitchell, I hope you're doing awesome. It's really good to hear from you. Have you ever seen semaphore tetras available? I recently ran across them, and the signaling they do with their scales is fascinating. Let's see what these are. Let's show everybody the semaphore tetra. Oh no, I haven't. So this looks like a swordtail kerosene a little bit. A swordtail tetra. Well, I'm gonna have to read up on these. So the signaling they do, so do they like, okay, so if it's like a swordtail kerosene or tetra, they'll use their pectoral fins to kind of signal. But do these spots on the body, do those like come and go? Do they like flash those? Okay, I see one here with like, is that like little glowing spots that they flash? Yeah, I don't know this fish at all. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. Yeah, neat. It's something, man, been doing this for 30 plus years and just ran across a fish that I wasn't aware of before. So that's pretty awesome. You learn something new every day doing this, which is great. It keeps it from being boring for sure. Heaven. How many Ceylon killifish, male to female ratio? I have a pair. Should I get more females? It doesn't hurt. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary. But if you notice the female's getting harassed or something, then one way to fix that is get more females. If you're trying to spawn, getting more females will definitely help. You'll get more egg production. And if you just want to make that male as happy as he could possibly be ever, then get more females. He will thank you. So I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but a male with many females is a great combo for that killifish. Yeah. For those that don't know, that's Aplochilus dei. Let me show you this fish. So this is what we're talking about. It's a rather beautiful little killifish, top-dwelling fish. In the same genus is like the golden wonder killifish you might be aware of from your big box stores and pet shops. Golden wonders are very common. Same genus, but this is one that's hardly ever around. This is a harder one to get. One of the first killifish I ever kept and bred successfully as a kid, so I have a soft spot for it. Okay, let's get to the next question. T-Viston. Any tank mates for Gardneri pair in a 20 tall, LFS at CPDs or Pseudomugo rasboras? You can put a lot of things with Gardneri, but I would think of them like I think of swordtails. Swordtails aren't necessarily aggressive, but they're assertive, and they're curious, and they can go bug other fish. And if you have a big group of swordtails, they usually don't bother the other fish in the tank. But if you have like a lone male swordtail in your tank, it's gonna kind of harass the other fish. It's gonna try to breed with all of them, no matter what species they are. So I would treat the Gardneri like that. They're assertive. I don't think they're aggressive, but they're an assertive fish. CPDs might be okay with them, but CPDs, the Gardneri might be a little too assertive for them. Pseudomugo rainbows would, I think, be a good choice if you had a big group of them, and everything was an appropriate size. Then I think that would be good. Furcata, I think, would be a great choice with them. Furcata are very active and big enough that they could hold their own. I think like live bears that don't have long fins, like platies, I think would be an excellent tank mate for Gardneri. Corridor's catfish would be fine. I think hatchet fish would be fine for a surface dweller. Yeah, I would just think of them like I would a swordtail. Kind of too assertive for really shy retiring fish, but not so bad that I would call them aggressive like a cichlid or something. In fish with long flowing fins, Gardneri can sometimes nip those long flowing fins. They don't always do it, but they can. Sometimes they do, so it's something to be aware of. What? Kaylee's Reptiles and Aquatics is throwing down more love. Thank you so much for the second super sticker of the day, Bob. Much, much appreciated. Okay, scrolling here and it got to the next one. Alyssa West, what is your quarantine protocol like? What do you preventively treat? I have an entire presentation on this that I do at fish clubs, but let me see. Okay, let's see if I have this. I was just making a video where I talked about this a little bit, and I might still have, just a sec here. If I have this piece of paper handy, it's gonna make it a lot easier for me to do this, a lot quicker. It's not there. Let's see. Are you down here? Oh, here they are. Okay, so I printed up one of the slides from my presentation. Here's what we found over the years. About 20% of the fish in the aquarium fish industry come in with roundworms, 17% with bacteria, 11% gill flukes, 11% flatworms, 9% trichodina, 7% ick, 5% skin flukes, 5% internal protozoans, 4% chilodonella, et cetera, et cetera. And so what we generally treat with is something very similar to the Aquarium Co-op medicine trio. So we treat with praziquantel because it takes care of flatworms and flukes and such. Not all, but a lot of them. We treat with Icex because it takes care of ick, but also chilodonella, trichodina, lots of external parasites. We treat with metronidazole because it is a synergistic medicine with the prazi, and it can help treat some of the internal anaerobic protozoans. It's also got some antibiotic effects. And we treat with an antibiotic. So those medicines take care of most of those. And then while they're in our 2-week quarantine period, we examine them and we check for roundworms. And if they have roundworms, then we also treat for roundworms. So we're pretty lucky here. We have a diagnostic lab here in our warehouse. It's manned by 2 full-time biologists. One has a degree in animal science and the other one has a degree in biology. And what they do all day is pay attention to the fish and their health. They make sure they're cared for properly. They screen them for disease. They administer medications. If something slips through our protocol, then we might have to apply some kind of specialized medication or get help from an aquatic veterinarian or from we also work with a state diagnostic lab that's at a university in Washington. And so we have these resources to help us find what to treat and to treat it. So that's kind of how we do it. We know what they're likely to come in with. And we also have, for most of the fish we sell, we have a few years of records from that supplier what the deal is. And so we know mostly what to do. And we also work at fish in our lab and see how they're doing. Are they carrying any diseases? If so, we need to change our treatment. So that's how we do it. The quarantine is at least 2 weeks. But sometimes I've had fish in quarantine for 8 months, I think, before we could finally figure out exactly what was going on and get them healthy. So it takes as long as it takes, but almost all the fish are ready within 2 weeks or thereabouts. Max says, I emailed you last Friday and sent a follow-up on Monday. The fish are in great condition. I also have some plants available. I sent an email to hello at Dan, HELLO at dansfish.com. Max, I don't think we've seen that email. So HELLO at dansfish.com. I go over the customer service every day and check emails, and I haven't seen it. Ashton, any tips on breeding the L519 Ancestris? For those that don't know, this is an awesome fish. L519 Pleco. This is from Rio e Tennis, and they are like a Wabbenmooster in that they have these beautiful honeycomb patterns on them. Like, look at that. But the difference between them and a Wabbenmooster is they get a little more orange with maturity. A little more orange coloration. Now, when they're young, they don't look like that. They look kind of brown. But they have a nice honeycomb pattern, but not as much orange. But as they grow, they start developing a really nice kind of orange pattern. So really nice fish. The honeycomb alone is awesome. Then you add that orange coloration to it, and it's beautiful. And I've never bred them, so I can't give you any advice. But I've seen them bred by other folks, and they treat them pretty much like a bushy-nosed pleco. They breed them the same as bushy-nosed plecos. And from what I understand, from talking to folks who have bred them, they're not especially difficult to breed. So that's my basic thoughts. Without having done it myself, I can't go in real deep on that. I'd probably steer you wrong. Anyone in the chat breed 519 Rio e Tennis Ancestris plecos? If so, what's your experience? How do you get them going? Craig Watson has joined the channel. Craig, thank you so much. Thanks for becoming a member of the Dan's Fish channel. You are now a member of the Fishmonger crew, an honorary Danio or Danionella. Any zebra plecos or sunshine plecos? Yes, on the zebra plecos. They did not have any sunshine plecos, so none of those at the moment. Clarity, would carry tetras go well with cardinal tetras in a 29 gallon? Yeah, I think so. Alternatively, thinking of getting green neons that would blend in at a glance but still be different from the cardinals. Yeah. Like that thing where you look at a tank and you're like, oh, that's kind of pretty, and then you wait a minute, like that second deeper look thing. Yeah, I think that those would all get along swimmingly. I think that's a good choice. I don't see any problems there. Whatever says, is it me or are epistogrammas out of stock everywhere? I don't know. Am I completely out of stock on epistogram? Let's see. Um, let's see. How are we doing on epistos here? We have one trio of Epistogramma Agassizii Blue Flame, some double reds, some Gold McMasteri, some Elizabethae. These are very rare and hard to get. Some fire reds and some El Tigres, the Nisani from El Tigres. So no, we're not out. We have a few. Derek and Kay. Any advice on getting Harlequin reservoirs to spawn? Thanks. Yeah, give them like broad-leafed plants. They'll often go like flip upside down and lay the eggs on the bottom of the broadleaf plant. If I remember right, it's been forever. I think, did Mark's Aquatics, one of the mods, would you check Mark's Aquatics and see if he has a video series or is it made videos about breeding the Harlequin reservoirs? I think he has. If he has, the Mark's Aquatics YouTube channel would be the place, Derek and Kay, to go. He does these great videos detailing how he gets the fish to spawn and how he feeds them and all that stuff. So I would refer you to Mark's Aquatics, and if one of the mods knows if Mark's Aquatics did a video of that, if you could link it, that would be awesome. Validated reefer. So many ways I could take that. Do you know if black rams are on the list? Which list? Like if I'm trying to get black rams in? I'm not. I've got a tank of black rams that we've had for at least 1 month, maybe 2. And it's still in quarantine. We're trying to make him healthy. So I do have a tank of black rams I'm working on. But man, they're proving very difficult. But once they get healthy, then I'll list them for sale, and I have no idea when that could be. Alishan, I heard that Fish and Wildlife have updated the criteria of accepting imported wild plecos. Apparently, they will now accept the legit L numbers in lieu of completely described species. Well, Alishan, I heard the same thing earlier this week, and that's one reason I'm bringing in some more plecos, because it started to get. So I used to bring in, let's take the mini snowball pleco. Used to be able to bring it in no problem, and then Fish and Wildlife started being like, yeah, you really need a scientific name on these. And so I was like, guess I'm not bringing those in again because they don't have a scientific name. What can I do? And then just earlier this week, yeah, now L numbers are working. So now I can bring them in again. That's why I'm working on that order. So yeah, I heard the same thing. I'm very excited about it. KCM Aquatics, how's it going? It's been a while since I've caught a live. Been busy with trying to figure out saltwater tanks. Oh, it's okay. Once you've had to remortgage the house a couple times to figure that out and go through all that, then you'll be back. We'll welcome you back to the freshwater hobby with wide open arms. Everything's gonna seem so easy after doing saltwater. Now I'm just giving you a hard time. Saltwater is amazing. Like, there are just some fantastic fish in saltwater. So I hope it's going awesome. I hope you're really enjoying it. Yeah. And welcome back. Good to hear from you. WW John. I haven't had luck with rams from my local stores. Yep. And between an Episto and rams, because I've heard Epistos are easier to care for, and tips for rams. No, I think Epistos and rams are equally easy to care for. It's supply chain stuff. If you get healthy rams, they'll stay healthy almost every time. If you get rams that are hiding something, then they're not going to do well for you. And if they're shipped crowded in crowded conditions, they're just gradually going to die off over a few weeks. That ammonia poisoning is really rough on them. Same with Epistos. So honestly, I don't think Epistos or rams are difficult. We keep rams here at 79 degrees. They're flared up. They're displaying. They're eating really well. We've done that for a long time, and they're doing great. Same with the Epistos. So I think it's a sourcing issue. I I really think that's the issue. If you can find ones that are really good and healthy, if you're an experienced aquarist and know how to keep a tank and not have spikes in ammonia or nitrite and keep nitrates under control and all that, I think you'll be fine. It's one of those fish, both rams and apistos, that the supply chain doesn't do a good job with. So often you'll get some, there'll be a hidden issue, and you won't know what's going on, but over a few weeks, they'll kind of just gradually die off. So they get a reputation for being delicate, but they're not. If they're treated correctly, if they're supplied correctly, and treated with respect along the supply chain, I've found them to be quite hardy. But this is why I don't do much importing of rams anymore. It was very hard to find a supplier that consistently did a good job. So now I pretty much only buy rams from hobbyist breeders. There's one or two suppliers that sometimes have them on the industry side where I'm like, okay, I'll get them from you, because they typically do a really good job. But I've tried many suppliers for rams, and all except for hobbyist breeders and I think one industry supplier, everyone else just has, I wouldn't get them anywhere else. They just have all kinds of issues. So that's been my experience. Seville Steve, I'm currently breeding a group of sailfin tetras. Oh, so cool. And a group of dawn tetras. Both are doing well and producing large group of fry. Oh, that's awesome, Seville Steve. Oh, congratulations. That's really neat. Yeah, if you're breeding egg layers like that and raising up big batches, then you're doing something right. Those tiny little fry, they can be a challenge to raise. So that says something to your fish keeping skills, I think. Good job. Hey, Simply Bettis here. Taylor, hello, welcome. It's great to see you. I hope you're doing awesome. JJ Aquatic, are you still manually sealing bag corners, or have you found a supplier that does that for you? We now buy them from a manufacturer. Instead of little crimped corners, they have a smiley face across the bottom for most of our bags. There's some bags that we use less of, that we still, do the corners ourselves. That being said, that supplier has not had any available for a little while, and we're not low yet, but if we don't get them soon, we could be, and so we're actually, we might have to get some bags and crimp them ourselves coming up. It's been they just haven't had any for a while. Carrie Britton, what's the main dish with autosynclus you see as far as infections, parasites? Also emailed you guys again about fish I've bred out for you. Awesome. Thanks, Carrie, for sending us a notification if you have fish that you have to sell. That's great. Autosynclus, let me see. I want to bring up the record so I can tell you correctly, but it's hard to do on my phone. Let me see if I can, and I can tell you exactly, because I can't remember every fish from memory. Okay. Okay. It's hard to search on my phone too, so it makes it kind of difficult. All right, if I can find them here, and I'm not guaranteeing I can, then I can tell you, oh, I know. I think I can go here. Okay, just a second. Let me see. I mean, they often come in with worms. I remember that for sure. Autosynclus. Okay, we were having trouble figuring out a batch of autosynclus recently, so we sent them to the State Diagnostic Lab in Washington, and yeah, they didn't find any lesions. They had adequate amounts of adipose tissue. What that means is they were well fed in fat. Yet they didn't find anything. And this is when it's really difficult, is when when fish obviously have a problem, but we can't determine the cause ourselves. The aquatic veterinarians we work with can't determine the cause, and even the lab, the PhDs that study this stuff and have all the fancy equipment, can't find the cause. No mycobacterium. So they can tell us what they don't find. Yeah, nothing there. So when we bring in autosynclists, they have worms for sure. And usually if we treat them with our normal protocol and get rid of the worms and all that, they're fine. But every now and then we'll run into a group, and we've got a group now we've had for a few months, where we can't figure out what they have. None of the professionals can figure out what they have. And in that case, what we try to do is give them really good care in time, and see if over time they'll settle and do fine. But yeah, autosynclists are a difficult fish if in a case like that. It's not because the fish is delicate or anything, but it's just because it's like, man, we don't even know no one knows what they have, so we don't know what to do. Like, we've tried everything we can, and we just don't have any information, and no one can help us get the information to know how to progress from there. So then it's just time and care. And sometimes they really do turn around. Now, I don't want to make it seem like every group of autosynclists is bad. It's just we're dealing with a particularly difficult case right now. But usually, you treat for worms and protozoans and stuff, then usually they're good to go. But they always have worms. You want to treat for worms for sure. Darb wire. If a fish with what appears to be bacteria, white spots and areas of rot on the scales, if a fish that appears to be bacteria does in the tank, would the other fish eating and ingesting it cause it to spread, or does it spread via another way? Darb wire, it totally depends. There are some bacteria that are just very, very quick spreading and are just horrible. You know, in humans as well. There's that one that humans get, that flesh-eating bacteria, right? You don't want that. But then there's other bacteria where you might have an infection and I can hug you or whatever, and it's not going to spread to me. So bacteria is such a wide range, it totally depends. There's a lot of bacteria where one fish might get sick just because it's got a weakened immune system, something's going on with it individually, and the other fish are all going to be just fine. And then there's cases where one fish gets it and it just spreads all throughout. It varies highly depending on each case. So there is no general response to that. It has to do with each case. Okay. Okay, looking for the next chat here, which is from Rosie. Do you find the blueberry tetras to be shy? No, but I keep them in big groups. There's a lot of fish that, if they're kept in groups, are not shy at all. Like our blueberry tetras come to the front of the glass and beg for food and all that. But I've got a lot in the tank. When I'm down to like 6, they might suddenly act different. They might be like, ooh, there's not enough fish around us to feel comfortable. In that case, I would get more or get dither fish that signal to them that they're comfortable. But this happens with celestial pearl danios in a big way. This happens with lots of different tetras. There's many fish that when they're kept in a critical mass, they're very comfortable, they're outgoing, they aren't shy at all. But when they're in small numbers, they're like, where is everybody? Is everybody got eaten? Like, why are there so few of us? It seems like is what they're thinking. And so they get retiring. They get skittish. I look noob, but I be old. What have been your most effective treatments for Endler guppies when they're flashing and just staying near the top? Totally depends. That can be caused by different things. But when a fish is flashing, my mind, I'm not a veterinarian or anything. Keep that in mind. We have a lab here, so we can actually work them up and see the cause. But usually it's an external parasite or something in the gills. So usually Icex and Prosimetro can take care of it. Prezi and Metro will take care of flukes if they have like gill flukes and stuff like that. And Icex will take care of external parasites. But it could be many other things too. It could be a bacterial infection in the gills that's irritating them, so they flash. Flashing is scratching. What a fish is doing when it's flashing is it's trying to scratch. Something's irritating it. And so, just like you and I, there can be tons of causes for us to scratch, right? For us to have an itch. It could be a benign little thing, like, I don't know, that just itches weird. Okay, now it's gone and it's not a problem. Could be an allergy, could be stress, could be, nope, I've got a skin infection, could be all kinds of stuff. So flashing is just the equivalent of us scratching or feeling an itch. Renzo, will you get Turricana jewels anytime soon? Maybe. That it's like the prettiest fish in the world that doesn't always sell well. So I saw them on a list recently and I almost got them, and then I checked their sales history and I was like, no, because last time I got them they just didn't sell very well. But maybe it's been long enough now. There's not that much demand for them though. Okay, let me see here. So let me go to the wish list. Let me tell you kind of how I order. But let me go through this and see if I can use this as an example. So anytime you guys add a fish to your wish list, if you go to Dan's Fish, you can, and there's a fish you want but you're not ready to buy yet, you can just add it to your wish list. Or we're out of it but you would like to get it in the future, you can add it to your wish list. And when you do that, we get a report saying, hey, there's this many people waiting on this fish. And so when I go to order fish, I look at the wish list, and if there's 500 people waiting for a fish, I'm like, I should get some of those. And if there's 3 people waiting on a fish, it'd be like, well, I should probably get the ones that have 500 people waiting on them first. So let me see if I can find where the Turricana jewels are on this list. I've gone way down, so I've probably scrolled through a couple hundred species of fish on this wish list, and Turricana jewels have not showed up yet. I'm going to keep scrolling. I'm just on my phone here looking to see if I can find them. Okay. So only 7 people in the last 30 days have said they want Turricana jewel cichlids. So in a case like that, what I'm probably going to do is order other fish first, because I don't know, if I have lots of people waiting for fish ahead of them on the wish list, right? Then I'm going to order those and make sure I have those in stock. And then once I have all those in stock, if there's room, then I'll probably get the Turricana jewels in. So that's the scenario that has to happen in order for it to make business sense. The other scenario is that it's just been like, well, I haven't had them in a year, so there's got to be enough people that want them by now, right? So we'll get, get some just to kind of serve those customers. But it's hard for me to justify bringing in fish that not many people want when there's a lot of people waiting for other fish, if that makes sense. So right now the Turricana jewels are not in high enough demand for them to be the top of my ordering priority. Not saying I won't get them, but it's not something I'm actively looking to do at the moment. Max Cat, how do cories behave in groups? They're so fun. They're clowns. They interact with each other. They swim around together. They'll cuddle up together. They'll go explore together and then go over, sit on a log and rest together. Like, they're just so fun. As such, if there were 3 of one kind and 3 of another in a tank, would they all group together or would they split into 2 groups? In my experience, they are much happier when there's a lot more of their specific kind, their specific species, or something so closely related that it might as well be the same species. So if I had the choice personally to get 3 panda cories and 3 stare-bite cories, I would get 6 panda cories or 6 stir-bite cories, because they'll be happier in a larger group with more of their own kind. Patrick Berggren. Hey, I remembered the second R. What is your water changing regimen? Oh, Patrick, do you not know about this? Okay, let's see. Can I bring this up real quick? Okay, let me see if I can show you what we do here. All right, let me find the slides. There they are. If I can find this. Okay. I do a whole presentation on this. Let me see if I can easily, okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, so let me just share with you a small part of this presentation about what we do here. So what we did is we built this facility that has a water treatment plant inside of it. Hang on, I gotta move my head out of the way here. Okay. There, now you should be able to see the picture better. So what we do is there's a creek that flows by our fish warehouse. We pull water in from the creek, we put it through this sediment filter right here. Then it goes through a massive carbon reactor. This thing's like 8 feet tall. Goes through what I call a miniature sun, UV sterilization. And then it goes through this thing back here you can't see, which is a heat exchanger. What this does is it takes out the sediment, it takes out any chemicals, and it sterilizes the water, and then heats the water. Then we take all that water and we put it through our aquariums on these lines, so constant fresh water is flowing into the aquariums, and then it overflows out the other side into this pipe, and that goes under the floor here. So we have fresh water flowing into our tanks all day long and fresh water flowing out all day long. And the fresh water that flows out, we clean up and sterilize and return to the creek in better shape than we removed it from the creek, by the way. So here's the system. Water comes in, gets sterilized, goes to our tanks, and then this big cistern underneath our floor is where it collects after it leaves our tanks, and then it gets pumped out of there, sterilized, cooled down, and returned to the creek. So with that, what that means, do I have a good picture of it that's easy to find? There's a whole thing about how we constructed it and all that. Okay. So what that means, if I can find a quick picture here. I'll just tell you. So our aquariums get many 100% water changes every day. So constant clean fresh water is flowing through every day. So that's what we do here, because our thesis is that clean fresh water is the best thing for fish, and it will keep them healthier than, not having it. You don't want nitrogenous waste. You don't want all the toxins that can build up in a tank building up. So that's what we do here. Now, before I did that, as a business, that's what we do. But as a hobbyist, I would typically do 25-30% every week, 30 to 50% every other week, something like that. It's one thing I would always do, though, is I'd make sure the water I was putting back in the tank, especially if I was doing a large water change like 50%, was clean, fresh water that was degassed and stabilized and at the correct temperature. So I wasn't shocking them with cold water right out of the tap that is unsteady, and over the next day or two, its parameters are going to shift a lot. I was putting in stable water. But I think a weekly 25 to 30% water change, or a bi-weekly 25 to 50% water change, depending on what you're doing. I think your typical aquarium, like, I could keep aquariums going for years and years and years like that. And it didn't take too long, and I didn't mind getting in the tank once a week because I kind of got in touch with it. You kind of get a good sense of what's going on. It's good information getting your hands in a tank. So yes, our spotted Congo puffer seasonal on your list. My local stores wholesalers don't always have them in. Do you know why? Yeah, I think there's some seasonality to them. I also just think it's really difficult to get to that pool they're from. It's not always safe, so they're just not always available. Yeah. So I guess the truth is, I don't know if it's like a weather thing or yeah, no one's going there right now thing. What's the smallest size saltwater tank you could do for success? I've heard a tank that is too small is unstable. Well, Darb Wire, I don't keep saltwater tanks, so I'm totally unqualified to offer an opinion on it. But I have friends that keep them. They've kept as small as 5.5 gallon tanks. They have a sump on them, but I've seen them 5.5 gallons go long term. They don't have a lot in it, but I've seen them do it. Do I know how? No. Do I have any details on it? No, I've never done it. But I think you're absolutely right. Smaller volume, harder to stabilize. JR, hi Dan, you're the man. Why, thank you. Zebra plecos I ordered from you a couple months ago are fat and sassy. Yeah, that was the best group of zebra plecos we've ever had. Yeah, they were awesome. I'm so glad you got some. Lisa McGrath, I've recently purchased 2 longfin snow white plecos. Any tips? I treat them just like a standard bushy nose as far as care and feeding and all that. One thing I would say is definitely keep the water clean. Those long fins, you don't want to get infections in those. You don't want any issues like that. So I'd keep the water clean. And I'd also be aware of any sharp objects in the tank that they could snag their fins on and tear them or get damaged on. So the other thing about longfin plecos to be aware of is you don't really have a lot of defense mechanisms. So like a standard bushy nose pleco, you could keep with, like if it knows the tank well and stuff, it could hang out with like Rift Lake cichlids and be fine because it's got spines and armor and all this stuff, and it knows where to go to hide and all that. But the long fins don't have the spines. Those elongated fins are no longer much in the way of a defensive mechanism. So I would not keep a long-finned bushy nose pleco. Sorry, I'm readjusting the little micro screen for the screen share thing here, so I'm a little distracted. I would not keep them with, I would keep them with more peaceful fish. Like you can't keep them with fish that are as aggressive as you could keep the standard fin snow whites with. But, you know, lots of good food, clean water, give them some hides, they'll be grateful. And they act pretty much just like standard bushy nose, and the care is pretty much the same. Chaos Aquatics and Reptiles has tons of great information, Dan. Well, that's the goal. Sit here and talk about fish, and hopefully something useful will fall out of my mouth. Okay. I'm going to scroll down. Whatever the last comment is, I'm going to answer, and then we'll do the giveaway. Lisa the Wolf, would Siamese algae eaters do okay with shubunkins in a 55-gallon tank? Do they need warmer water temps than shubunkins? Yes, Siamese algae eaters are a tropical fish. So unless, I mean, I think they'd be fine pretty much anywhere in the 70s, like 72 to 82 degrees would be just fine. So I don't know what temperature you keep your shubunkins at, but I don't think Siamese algae eaters are going to do great at like the cooler goldfish temperatures. Yeah. Now, I've never kept them real low, so maybe they can go lower, but you know, they're a tropical fish. They come from a tropical climate, and so I tend to think they wouldn't do very well at the cold goldfish temperatures. All right, with that, let's do this giveaway. This is for free shipping because everyone can use free shipping, right? Let's see, were people excited about that? Well, there's 343 people here, so I would call that medium excited. Medium excited, not as excited as if we were doing like a zebra pleco or something silly, but yeah, 244 entries for the free shipping at dansfish.com, and the winner is One Drop Aquatics. One Drop Aquatics, congratulations, you have won. Now you need to chime in the chat to claim your winnings. You have 2 minutes, so when this timer gets to 2 minutes, time is up. So before that happens, leave a comment in the chat. You can say anything. Like literally you could say anything like NANYTHING. Or you could say yay or hi or yay I won or whatever. But you have to say something in the chat before this timer gets to 2 minutes to claim your winnings. If you don't do that, you forfeit your winnings, and we will redraw, and someone else will win the free shipping. So while we're waiting on you, we'll get to another question here. Neo Veritas 7. When was the last time you set up a scaped a tank for your own personal enjoyment that wasn't work related? Since 3 years. I haven't done it since I opened the warehouse. So 3 years, somewhere around there. Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did do a few tanks in here. Oh, you said not work related. I did 3 scapes in here that I really liked for quite a while. But those were work related. I did that so that I could take nice video of fish and, you know, with plants or hard scape and stuff like that. So yeah, 3 years. And by the way, I don't feel unfulfilled at all. There's 477 active tanks in here right now as of today. And they all feel like my tanks to me. They all feel like my fish to me. Like I still feel about them like I felt about my fish when I was a hobbyist. So to me, it's still the hobby. Hasn't changed a lot. Even when I didn't have the business, by the way, I didn't do a lot of scaped tanks and stuff. I was more into breeding. So I would have a bare tank with a sponge filter and some spawning media, spawning mop, or a little container for an egg catch or something like that. So I would have a nice tank every now and then that I would set up. But I might have like one tank that I set up nicely, and all the rest would just be working tanks for breeding and raising fish, because that's the part of the hobby I love. Hashtag breeding is pleasure. All right, One Drop Aquatics is here, and at 45 seconds, they chimed in, so they are definitely claimed their winnings with plenty of time to spare. One Drop Aquatics, please send us an email to hello@dancefish.com. That's HELLO@dancefish.com. Say, hey, I won the free shipping, and we will get you a discount code that you can use for your free shipping. Yeah. Okay, with that, we're gonna shut this sucker down. We're gonna start by thanking our moderators for moderating. I just so appreciate how you guys show up time after time, volunteer, and keep this thing running smoothly. Thanks so much. Very, very much appreciate it. I want to thank everyone who's a member of the Dancefish YouTube channel and everyone that gifted memberships today. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. Thanks for the super chats. We always like it when people throw money at us. It's not required. I'll answer your question or comment whether you pay or not, but man, it sure is nice to get a little cash falling out of the computer screen every now and then. So thank you. If you were active in the chat, thanks for making this a fun evening. If you were not active in the chat, well, hey, I still love you. Hail the Lurker Nation. If you're watching the replay, hello from the past. And if you're listening to the podcast, that means I finally found some time to load these onto the podcast. And I thank you for listening. All right, we'll be back in 2 weeks, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, have a great one. Bye-bye.